Reactive training systems.
If you take someone who responds really well to like 75%, like you just find that across, whatever you're doing, they respond really well to like 75% work. I kind of theorize that one way that benefit people is by, like, obviously the closer you get to 1RM, the more constraints there are, the narrower their options for movement solutions are. But if you work at like 75%, there are quite a few different solutions to a task that would still get the weight up, right? And I'm curious if, like, doing lighter work like that has the goal of getting that volume in, getting in a lot of those other adaptations that we're looking for, but simultaneously gives someone the freedom to subconsciously move around in different ways that deviate from what their perceived 1RM technique would be at that time. They move around in different ways, and then slowly they kind of incorporate that movement variability and those different solutions into heavier work that then helps their 1RM go up, like their 100% increase. And I don't know, I've just always thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think so. That's for sure part of what I'm thinking about with the program, stuff like that. We've got some strategies. Roses and thorns come to mind that are in our programming library in the training lab. But when I've done those strategies back in the day, it was that was definitely part of the experience for me. Is like there's multiple sets in like this 75% range or something like that in the early cycles, and I would definitely feel like this, like we were talking about before, like sometimes your stance is subtly wider or subtly maybe even off center or something like that. And now, you go ahead with the set, and I think you learn something. I think you develop from being able to do that, and to that end, like, I think you can develop similarly from like higher rep, higher RPE stuff as well. So imagine like taking a set of 12 or something like that, up to a pretty high RPE. Your first handful of reps, like, hold on, let me caveat this because I know that's hard for powerlifters to wrap their head around. You've got to do it enough that you don't freak out about it being 12. Like, we've got to do 12 enough that we can calm down and just do the work, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's painful. It's going to suck. You do it anyway. And like, let's not make a big deal. The first handful of reps are pretty easy reps, and you can kind of settle into a rhythm and move around a little bit. Like today, I ended up doing a rep set in the squat. And for some reason today, sitting back into my squat felt a little bit better than really pushing forward. And I was able to kind of feel that out in the first handful of reps, and just kind of went with it, and it ended up being a good set. But then, like, you can shift that around a little bit as well, like if you get to rep 8, 9, 10, you're like, my glutes aren't going to have any more of this, well, then you can kind of push into the front a little bit and lean into the quads a little bit more. And, you learn something from all these experiences is what I'm getting at. And I think it's good to develop this like breadth of experience, because then, like, just exactly what you're saying, I think you can incorporate all that stuff down the road. You notice it during your warm-ups, and so it may not even be like a super conscious thing, but just like some days feel like subtly wider days, and so you put your feet like an inch wider on each side, and it's not that much. Nobody's going to notice, but it's just enough that that's the thing that you're feeling, and that leads to the performance that you need,
It's so interesting. Like, I feel like I hear some coaches say that, like, technique has to be practiced in the most specific context, which to them means like 90% or 80% with a competition movement. And like the breadth of things that influence technique and can alter technique. Like obviously there's some variations that people will specifically use. So sometimes obviously it's on the nose, like it's super on the nose of I'm using a tempo variation to highlight some sort of technical aspect or bring the lifter's attention to something. But it can be even less on the nose. It can be like I said, like a close grip bench. There's going to be some sort of tricep benefit from a close grip bench, but I will often use it to expose someone to different bar paths so that they can find that solution. And a lot of people's definitions of what technique work is 80 to 90% or above of something that's a competition max. And they're like, oh, that is going to give you the greatest technical adaptations because you have the highest amount of constraints. It's the most specific. And the breadth of what you can do to, like programming wise, to fix or not fix, like change and strengthen someone's technique include things like weird variations. Like, you know what else I've done that I think is funny is 1 1/4 bench or 1 1/4 squats for people who need that bottom range and bottom range of motion work is a very interesting tool for that. But like that's an example of something that is really atypical that I've actually used for quite a few people. Or like, actually another tangent, but one of my favorite deadlift variations is a touch and go deadlift, because I find that it really benefits people at that bottom position, and it really, like for some people, feels like they know how to deadlift suddenly. And it's not like they're bouncing it's off the floor, but it's like, have you ever done them?
Like a glass floor deadlift, I think I've heard people call it.
Yeah, probably the same thing, but where you have to control it just enough so that you don't like set the weight fully in the ground. You just try to tap it as lightly as possible. And some people just feel like they suddenly know how to deadlift after they do it, because they're like, oh, getting into that bottom position with a lot of control and then starting there is really beneficial for them.
Shh. There is a secret to great training programs, but it's not a magic set and rep scheme or this one weird exercise that powerlifting pros don't want you to know about. The secret is in your training log. You see, years ago, we began developing tools to help you unlock these secrets, and we've been putting them online for free ever since. That's right, it's free for everybody. Now you may be thinking, what's the big deal? People have been logging training forever, and you're right, but the secret isn't just in keeping a logbook. It's using that log to make better training decisions. That's the real secret. This is where the RTS training log excels. You haven't done SSB squats in 3 months and you're wondering what your target weight should be? We can help you with that. Did you overshoot on your top set and you're wondering if you should adjust your back offsets? We can help you with that too. Are you building the most important training block of this year and you're wondering what your most highly effective blocks have in common? Yep, we got you covered there too. There's more. There's a lot more. And yes, it is all free. Not just a free trial, not free with ads, just regular free. You go to reactivetrainingsystems.com, then you click on apps, sign up for a login, and you're in.